Goddess Botanic here to make my very first YouTube video. I love watching houseplant tours. I feel like that is so much fun. I love seeing what people have in their collection. So today I'm going to start off my YouTube channel by doing a plant tour so that you can get to know me. You can get to know me through my plant collection a little bit. You can come into one of the plantiest corners of Portland, my home. Come on, check it out. Okay. So let's start this plant tour. This is one of the plantiest corners in my house. It is a west-facing window, quite a large window, and the plants love it. It's great during the summertime. The sun just streams right through, right onto their leaves, and it's pretty much the best, brightest indirect light I can give my plants. So with it being backlit, you might not be able to see a ton of detail, so I'll try my best. It's kind of a nice Portland day out there. But first we'll start over on my Monstera here, and as you can see, it's a little worse for wear. As you can see, we've got some yellowing leaves here, and you can see that I've taken lots of cuts all over. And that is because the plant had a case of the thrips. This summer was a really challenging summer for me. I dealt with my first houseplant pests ever, including mealybugs and thrips. And so my poor babe here got isolated to the backyard, and it had just happened to catch thrips at like the first cold front in Portland, and so it sat outside for about a week before I could get the insecticide that I had some friends recommend to me. So we've got some cold damage, we've got some thrips damage. I got rid of the thrips problem, no problem at all, and I can go into detail if you guys are interested in that. But I'm not giving up, and I'm really excited to see what happens in the new growing season. I have a feeling that I'll be able to bring him back with no problem. And right below my Monstera, I have my Norfolk Island Pine. Oh, just a little babe here. Pushing out with some decent new growth. It seems to be pretty happy. And then here, this glorious piece of work is my Ficus Elastica, my variegated rubber tree. So as you can see, we've got some really beautiful strawberries and cream variegation, and also some regular green and white variegation. And it's a really interesting mixture here. I purchased it all in one pot, and it's doing really well. And right above my rubber tree, I have my beautiful Fiddly Fig, my Ficus lyrata. I love the Fiddly Fig tree. I have learned through experience just what it needs, and even then it still catches me off guard. They're quite the Diva Plant. This guy I picked up at Home Depot. It was dying in the corner in the dark, and as you can see, it's got a ton of old leaf damage here. Let's see. I mean, it's a huge, beautiful leaf, but it had quite a bit of damage on it. Here we've got some damage. It's like a little mouth, really. And you know, all down the stem here were leaves, but they were all brown and crunchy. As you can tell, I kind of had to cut some little bits, little chunks out, but this is new growth, this is new growth, all up here is new growth. Over here we've got some new growth back behind, and I'm just so proud of myself. This was a really great experiment plant. I was so excited when I found it. and I love watching it grow, and I really need to clean its leaves. I just polished them a couple weeks ago, but they're so large they collect a lot of dust. Right below that I've got a Scindapsus, and excuse all the cords, ew. This is the first Scindapsus I ever bought, and it's really pretty. It's got that silver speckle, and we've got a little bit of leaf damage there, but overall the plant's pretty healthy. It's gone through a little bit. It's sitting by a heater right now, which means I probably need to move it. These leaves over here are curling and they're not happy. So gonna need to move that, but I just wanted to give it a little bit more light, and the light's been so limited here in Portland lately, so I moved it over here, but I'm gonna have to move it again. Right next to that are my Philodendron micans, which I heard were recently renamed, but I like the name micans. Climbing this moss pole, I have had this micans for a while now. It's one of the first trailing houseplants I bought, and it's the velvet heart-shaped leaf, and you can see the color variation is so beautiful. The leaves, when they're new, they come out with this kind of coppery color, and then they fade to a deeper green, but you can still see the shade variance depending on how the light hits it. And it's happy climbing this moss pole. It's doing a decent job. I take cuttings from this plant all the time. I have some actually rooting in water over on the side where I'll take you in just a second. Behind my micans, I have a Rhaphidophora tetrasperma doing its thing. You can see the more immature leaves have not split, they have not fenestrated, but the newer leaves, they have. Got some new growth over here. It seems overall pretty happy. I picked it up from Gabriella's Plants, and behind that I have my Philodendron gloriosum. I picked this one up on Etsy, and it did come with this leaf damage. There has not been one single new leaf put out since I got this plant, which is quite a mystery. And so I decided, there's two leaves on it. They're both old growth, as you can tell. I decided to have a little experiment and take a look into the soil and see what was going on with my gloriosum. And there is a tiny little new leaf forming way down at the base of the root system. So I'm trying to be as patient as possible while that just does its thing. Over here I've got one of my Calatheas that's in rehab, as you can tell. I don't know exactly what's going on with this Calathea, but I love the Calathea family. This is a Calathea medallion peacock, and when you put it near the light, the insides here of the leaf, they get kind of stressed and look a little bit pink. So I've got this right next to my humidifier because I can't figure out exactly what's going on with it right now. And right next to that Calathea, I have my Calathea pinstripe, Calathea ornata, and I was given this for my birthday in September, and it's over here by the humidifier too because it was originally in a different spot and I think it needed more humidity. I have another Maranta over here. This is it's got some hints of variegation. When I pull it out, you can see there's some kind of crunchy looking leaves on there, which is why it's by the humidifier, but we've got some pretty variegation there and a lot of non-variegation. So that's just kind of doing its thing over there. Love that plant. And then, oh my god, my baby. I love this plant. This is my Calathea orbifolia, and I'm such a dork. I love this plant. Look at, we've got a little bit of new growth happening here, and oh my god, the leaves are just spectacular. They're beautiful. It's a little babe, so it's quite small still, but I can't wait for it to get giant. Let's see, I've got kind of plants hidden everywhere, so bear with me for a second. Back behind my Calatheas over here, I've got a Hoya obovata. Looking a little bit splashy. Not an immense amount of splash, but I have a feeling in the spring when I get some more sun, I'll get some more splash. Here I've got my Syngonium chiapens. I got this guy from Sotheby's when it was just a wee one. It had 2 leaves on it, I think. 3? I really like it. I don't have a ton of Syngonium, and when I saw it, I was like, what is that? And I didn't realize it was a Syngonium, and apparently it gets mistaken for a Philodendron a lot of the time. Or for maybe an Anthurium. I could see that maybe. Back behind that, I have one of my Monstera Adansonii. This is quite a large leaf, and it's trailing off to the side here. Oops. I just did something with my humidifier. We'll take a quick break and tell you that this humidifier is a freaking godsend. It holds a ton of water, as you can see from the tank. And you can set the humidity level, and there's a remote here, and you can set the humidity level, and it will automatically kick on when it drops below that humidity level. Anyway, this Adansonii is one that I purchased on Etsy after my first Adansonii got mealybugs. So it's just kind of living its life over here. It's got an offshoot back there. It's just kind of reaching for the light. And then I have above that, I guess we'll go above that real quick, Manjula Pathos. And the leaves are just stunning. I mean, come on with that variegation right now. Ah, I love it. So this Pothos can get confused for like the Marble Queen, maybe the Pothos Enjoy. I've got some new growth happening, and I can't wait for it to start trailing. It's a fairly new plant to my collection. I purchased it on Etsy. And then to the right of that plant, I have my Philodendron Philodendron Brandy. And we've got some new growth here. Yeah, Brandy likes it in this spot. Super cute. I got this plant real little. Got some new growth going there too. It's so pretty. The variegation is so unique. The leaves are just so pretty on this plant. The variegation is so unique. It's like a iridescent silvery bluish shade. I don't know, it's hard to describe, but the leaves are so pretty. This is a Calathea Warzawisii, and its leaves are huge, and they are very dark green with a lime green stripe down the center, and they are velvety. Oh, they're so beautiful. This one's in need of a watering. You can kind of tell that because the leaves are going downward. This plant drinks a lot of water. I notice it most frequently because it's so expressive. Taking a little step back, over here I've got my Lemon Lime Philodendron, which trails down, and I have taken so many cuttings of this plant because it has just been growing like a monster. It's pretty happy. It's got some new growth offshoots happening kind of like all over the place. Right above that, I have my Variegated Ivy, which I had hanging in the bathroom for a long time. Look at this hilarious leaf. This leaf makes me so happy. I have no idea what happened here, but this was part of the original plant when I got it. It looks like a lily pad with like a, I don't know, it's funky. I like it though. It's reaching for the sun. You can see over here, it's like, give me that. Now up above that here, I have a Hoya, and you'll have to forgive me because I am brand new to Hoya care. So, don't know what it is. Hoya Cardosa, perhaps? I'm not sure. But I'm trying to figure out if it likes it in home. I don't know quite yet. So, you know, that's a learning journey for me, as my favorite plants are Calatheas, as you can probably begin to tell. Oh, I forgot over here. You can see these are rooting in water. These are cuttings I've taken. I took these cuttings from a coffee shop that I'm friends with a couple people that work there, and they gave me some cuttings when I had told them about my Monstera over there, my sad boy, catching thrips. So I took a couple cuttings, rooting in water, doing its thing, just in case that other one doesn't survive, but I have high hopes for it. And then below that, I have over here my Monstera Albo Borsigiana cutting. Oh, it's so pretty. I can't wait for it to do something. I shall show you. It's rooting in the water. It's doing its thing. Dipped in wax. I purchased this on eBay. And it's quite a large cutting. It came all the way from England. The seller told me that I should maybe hold out until the springtime to pot it up in soil. So I'm taking a poll. What do you think? Oh my god, I forgot so many plants over here. This is my Ficus Audrey. Oh god, I can't say the real name of this plant. The Ficus Bengal, something, I don't know, whatever. I call her my Audrey, and she's got a velvety leaf too. I'm a huge fan of the ficus varieties, and once you figure it out, they can be really fun. As you can tell, I've had a hard time figuring it out. All these leaves here have come off because the ficus varieties tend to be quite diva plants, and if they're not happy, they shed their leaves. And you can see there's like a little bit of a purple hue to this. It's because I put some cloning gel on these open nodes, thinking that maybe it would inspire some new growth, but I don't know. She's doing what she wants, and I'm okay with that because she's pretty. And then I forgot to show you back here. Ah! It's a golden gem. Ficus golden gem? I know that it doesn't really look like it. It's a long story, but we can go into more detail about that. But this video is literally going to be an hour long unless I hurry it up. So here we've got some kind of cool plants. I'll take them down so that you can see them better. So this plant came to me from Florida because I grew up in Florida and my parents and my younger sister still live there, and I saw this growing in my dad's backyard, and it did have one more leaf on it, but it put out this new growth, and so the other one didn't make it. But trying to figure out what it is, and I've had some friends take a look. If you know what this is, let me know. So this plant came from Hawaii, and I love it, and I think it looks like fingers, and I don't know exactly what it is. but if you do, you should tell me. But my friend was visiting Hawaii and brought me back some cuttings of this plant, and it's done pretty well. It's given me a lot of new growth. Oh shoot, I just realized I forgot these down here. I've got another variegated rubber tree down there, and I've got another variegated plant down there. So that's this corner here. Take a step back. So that's a little overview. Oh, hi Dixie. What a good girl you are. I love you. So that's a little bit of an overview of the plantiest corner in my house. So the first thing I see when I walk in the door, and it makes me so happy. Now, we shall continue on. This giant orchid cactus that I got for my birthday in September as well. I had it over there where the Hoya is now, but I switched the spot. It's the funniest little thing. I don't know that much about this plant, but hey girl, hey, giving me so much new growth. All of these little funny aerial roots are hilarious, and it makes me think it's doing something. It's long. Apparently it's supposed to bloom, and I will move it to a sunnier spot eventually, but for right now I'm limited on space. So there's a plant supposed to be here. It's my another little strawberries and cream variegated rubber tree, which I had just watered. Back behind that, I have a burgundy rubber tree. This small guy doing his thing. And then here, this is, oh god, it's hard to see with that backlighting. Let's see, here we go. Look at all that new growth in there. It's so tiny. This is my Pachira Aquatica. Yeah, Pachira Aquatica. Bring good luck and fortune. They call it like a money tree or something. You know, it's actually a pro tip to keep these things, because who the heck can remember every single name? I tried to do my own labeling system and it got burnt out really quickly. Right next to my money tree plant right here, I usually have this anthurium here. This is an Anthurium Oaxaca, and I picked it up from Pistols when they had their brand new opening, and it does need quite a bit of water. It seems pretty happy. It's got all of these aerial roots, and it really hasn't done a whole lot since I picked it up. I need to clean the leaves, and I need to give it some water. But the reason I was so attracted to it was just this giant stem down here. The base of this plant is just so stunning. It's got tons of aerial roots. Plus, I'm a really big fan of anthuriums. Over here, I have some plants propagating. I always have stuff propagating. I've got my Fittonia, which was a cutting originally from a much larger mama plant. I have my arrowhead that, wow, needs some water ASAP. My wandering dude. This one is the bunny ears version, which is really soft and velvety. And then down here, I have coffee plant, Philodendron Rio Sport, or the silver stripe. You can tell that this is a silver stripe. We can go into detail about this later, but you can tell this is a silver stripe because of the shape of the leaves and the particular variegation. differs from the Brazil quite significantly. I love this plant. I also picked this up from Gabriella Plants. Giving me a little bit of new growth over here on this side. Pretty. So pretty. This is the only Chinese evergreen I have. It's a Valentine something or another. I'm really not into these plants. I feel like they're so annoying, which I feel bad for saying, but I thought this one was kind of pretty. And they grow in dark places. I've got a new leaf happening right there. So it's like a sweetheart Valentine something or another. And yeah, doing its thing. And then the last plant in the living room is just over here, pretty far away from the window, but it does fairly well. It's my golden pothos, which, because it's in that dark space, has lost most of its variegation, but I think it's really pretty. Just off the living room, I have my dining room, which I've got my computer set up and everything right now to do some editing, but I've got another little planty corner over here. Now this is a south-facing window, but as you can see, there's a house right there next to us, so we don't get a ton of south exposure. And I've got a little, to start, I've got a little spider plant over here. Then over here, I've got an aloe plant that I've had for a really long time. I got it for $5 from Garden Fever, and it's grown a lot. I have my watermelon peperomia, which is constantly struggling. I don't understand exactly what's going on with it at any time, but it's putting out all this new growth. It's just kind of funny looking, but I kind of like how funny looking it is. The leaves are so pretty. They're quite large too. So maybe it's turned a corner. And then I have a whole bunch more of the Calathea family. I haven't made tags for this one yet, so I do not remember the name. However, I will put the name in the video. This plant I actually picked up from somewhere that's green in Bend, Oregon. It was on the clearance rack because it had some crispiness, and that is one of my favorite things. I love finding clearance plants, and bringing them back to life is like massive fun for me. Here is another Calathea, and this is a gray star, I believe. It reminds me of leaves. Leaves. It reminds me of a feather, and I wear feathers in my hair a lot. I really like that. I got this one and this one on Etsy from the same shop. Doing pretty good over here. No humidifier over here, which I'm surprised that they're not unhappy. However, I am seeing some crispiness on the ends. Some, you know. This one in the center here is my Never Never plant. Love the new growth. Look at that beautiful new growth. Oh, stunning. Stop it. Makes me so happy. Love this family of plants. Yeah, we struggled for a minute when we were figuring out care with this guy, but I tell you, just don't give up. I cut this plant back a lot and stuck it under a grow light in the basement, and it came back. I'm telling you, it will come back. Above that, I have some Christmas cactus or Thanksgiving cactus cuttings from my dad in Florida. There's a very easy chart to determine which one you have. So, have I done that? No. I'm not sure which one it is. But I love it. It comes from a neighbor who passed away and kind of like was a surrogate grandma or auntie, or, you know, we lived next to her forever. Here I've got some cuttings of more Wandering Dude. It's taking its time to root. I've got a cutting from a friend. This is a Peperomia Pretty Variegation. It was such a tiny little thing when I got it, and it really took off. It likes this south window. I wish I could remember who gave that to me. Might have been, oh gosh, I'll remember later. Oh goodness, we need a serious drink of water over here. This is a Begonia Beefsteak cutting that really seriously needs some water. But it's just a single leaf, and begonias are kind of rare like that. You can propagate from just a single leaf. And I've got a succulent in there, which don't ask me what kind of succulent it is. I do not have any knowledge about succulents, but I liked its coppery color, so that came from a cutting as well. And then back there is another begonia cutting. And then up here I've got my string of hearts that I love very much. Let's see if it'll focus. I love this plant. I've taken so many cuttings. I recently gave 2 fully rooted string of hearts to some friends. If you put it under your red-blue grow light, this plant will burst into bloom. It had, I cannot even believe how many flowers were on this plant. I gave it away. Obviously I gave 2 away, and the leaves turned bright pink, and the plant was stressed. That's what happens when you stress it out, but it was so beautiful. Over here, back behind the string of hearts, I have a Pilea peperomoides, kind of doing its thing. It's also kind of in the same boat as the watermelon peperomia. Still kind of trying to figure out care for that, but seems okay. Needs some water. All my plants need water right now. Here I have a Moonlight Philodendron, and I love this plant. I actually bought it because I saw this beautiful philodendron in a coffee shop in Portland, Water Avenue Coffee, and they had these giant beautiful leaves, and I was like, oh my god, I must have that. So searched it out. It's giving me some new growth right now. It's doing its thing. Now over here is Beefsteak Begonia. This is the mama plant. I love this plant. The leaves are dark olive green with a little tinge of burgundy, and they're very leathery and thick and just so unique. I don't have a lot of begonia, but when I saw this one, I had to have it. This is my Calathea maguiana. Oh my god, my pride and joy. I love this plant. It's so pretty. I think out of, I can't say it. I was going to say it's one of my favorites. It truly is one of my favorites. I love this plant. It needs a little bit of water as well. Got a little bit of crispiness there on that leaf, but man, it is a beautiful specimen. I got this from my birthday as well. Yeah, it sits up there. It gets partial sunlight up there, so I think it's okay with it. So next to the maguiana, I have this Allocation Regal Shields, which you can see the leaves. Oh my god, look how beautiful that is. That's the money shot right there, my friends, with that sunlight streaming behind it. Ah, gorgeous. So gorgeous. My friend Sarah let me take some of her plant, and I'm ever grateful because it's beautiful. Back behind that, I have some cuttings rooting from my Philodendron micans, and I have these very special cuttings of Monstera Peru. Oh, these guys are rooting. Giving me some new growth over there. They are rooting in sphagnum moss. That's what this bit is here. I've got a Cebu blue Pothos rooting in water, and a cutting of Adansonii that I took from my dad's backyard. It was just growing wild up the banyan tree in Florida, like you do. I've got my pitcher plant hanging here with some crispy pitchers. Oops, not too proud of that. I've got my lemon lime upright philodendron here. This guy's pretty. Love the new growth. Comes out this like yellow, buttery yellow color and then fades to a green. It's very pretty. In front of that, I have my variegated string of hearts, which I like very much. I bought it on Etsy, and it's given me this whole new growth and this whole new growth over here. Pretty stoked about that. Then I've got Monstera siltepecana in all of its veiny glory. Good grief, look at that leaf. Ah, it loves it. I don't know. It loves being over here. I'm so happy it does. Something that's not super happy over here is this Allocation mask, African mask. I don't know what's going on here. I also picked this up from the clearance section at Somewhere That's Green. Just over here, under my super intense grow light, I have currently my Ficus triangularis. I'm a total ficus fiend. Love a good ficus. My first one of these. I'm pretty stoked about it. Seems pretty happy. It loves that bright light. If you can provide that with a grow light, then you can have this plant too. Another Peperomia over here in bloom. Picked that up from Cornell Farm. And then in front here I have my Anthurium clarinervium, which has been through a lot. It came with 3 leaves, and 1 broke off in shipping, and the other one just died here. I put it under the grow light, so we'll see. I just want a new growth. I just want some new growth. It did bloom for me, and it had a beautiful bloom all summer long. It's pretty cool. Back over here, I have a Philodendron Burgundy Queen, which is a reverted pink princess. And as you can tell, I got a tiny bit of pink, and I was so overly confident. I was like, oh my god, my pink princess is coming back to life. The Burgundy Queen is unreverting itself. We've got tiny specks of pink here, but nothing like this. And I got this from Gabriella's Plants. It's a beautiful plant. I wish it could all look like this. I'm actually on the wait list for the pink princess at the moment. And there's a new leaf coming in, so I guess we'll see what happens. That's why it's here under my grow light, because the bright light inspires that. I've got some rubber tree cuttings in leca balls because I wanted to give it a try to see what happens. Just took this off my mother plant. Here in front, I think of this plant as a little dragon. Can you see it? Do you see the dragon? I just have a really active imagination. I just feel like it looks like wings. I don't know. This is my Philodendron silver sword. And I took this as a cutting. A plant friend here in Portland gave it to me, and I love it. It's given me so much new growth. At least 3 leaves since I've had it. This back here is my Hoya Crimson Queen. And I've got some new growth here with a very pretty variegation. And doing all right back there. I've got another Syndapsis back here, another silver satin. This is a silvery, this is a silvery and variety. So the leaves are predominantly silver, like this one. That's like all silver, goodness gracious. Then here I have my Calathea Freddy. Bought this from a plant friend locally, and it has put out so much new growth. I love this plant. Next to that is another super beautiful Calathea. Oh my god, I am so proud of this Calathea. A little bit of brown tip there. That's an old leaf though. Oh my god, I've never felt love like this before. This is my Calathea Silver Stripe. Oh my god, I love you. I think it had 4 leaves when I first got it. Found it on Facebook Marketplace from a local plant friend. And over here, yet another Syndapsis. And there's another really easy chart on how to discern which one is which. Perhaps the Exotica. I do not know. I found it on clearance for $4 and it came home with me because how can you resist that? One shelf to go, my friends, and then we move to another room. Okie dokie. This one picked up at Arium. Oh. The Black Cardinal. This philodendron is super cool. As you can tell, the leaves are so dark, they're almost black. Look at this new leaf I'm getting. Awesome. This is a Black Cardinal philodendron. I picked this up from Arium. It's doing pretty well. I think it might be a Philodendron Hope or a Xanadu. I took it as a cutting and rooted in water, and here we are. There's a begonia back there. We've got Philodendron Macaulay's Finale. This I separated from the mama plant, the Dieffenbachia Chinese evergreen, to give to a friend for Thanksgiving. I've got little pickles back there. Sansevieria Moonlight. If you follow me on Instagram, you might remember this plant. God, it looks so much better. It's really incredible what a little time and patience can do for a plant. Don't just jump to throwing things away. This is my original Monstera adansonii that I got at a plant shop in Seattle for my birthday 2 years ago. That contracted mealybugs and I freaked out and ended up hurting it really badly. So I'm really glad to see that it's on the mend. Anyway, we can go into more detail about that later. Here we are on this plant corner. And just real quick, I want to show you over here. This is an east-facing window. But we don't get a ton of east-facing sun because in the backyard there are really, really big trees back there. Anyway, I made this macrame hanging wall art. And here next to it I have my Hoya Hindu rope in leca because I've been experimenting with that. And it seems to be okay. It's giving me some new growth. So it's my first time experimenting with leca. And then over here I have another macrame wall art that I'm working on. Just above my bookshelf here, oh god, kind of dark right now. This philodendron usually lives up on my bookshelf, and it's got these giant beautiful leaves. This plant also came from Hawaii, so I have no idea what kind of variety it is. My Sansevieria snake plant. It can live anywhere. It's not particularly growing at rapid levels up there on top of my bookshelf, but it seems overall to be pretty happy. So now we shall continue to the bathroom, because the bathroom is an amazing place to keep your plants, especially ones that love high humidity. I've got a lot of Calathea maranta in here. We'll start over here. I've got my jewel orchid. Really beautiful. Seems pretty happy in here. It loves the humidity. Some cuttings of my Philodendron Brazil, which I feel like is a totally underrated houseplant. Also in Leca, because I'm seeing how that works. Right up above that, I have a variegated wandering dude putting out some new growth. It's just the green and white one, and it's pretty. As you can see, they get crispy. They do need quite a bit of water, but overall pretty happy over here. I oftentimes will take cuttings of pieces like this at the node and take that leaf off and then root it in water and stick it back up into the top of the plant, which is the secret to kind of keeping that plant full. I have a string of pearls over here in a really cool pot that I found from Garden Fever. And then up above that, I have my beautiful lemon lime maranta that is just loving it in the bathroom. It gives me a lot of new growth. I feel like I finally figured out how to keep this plant happy. I love the way it's like hugging the pottery right there. It's so cool. I love this planter. I found this planter on Facebook Marketplace. Here I have another Calathea medallion that's also been through the ringer. Just 3 little leaves right now, but it's making a comeback. Here I've got my trio star. Can you just get over that variegation? Get out of here. It's so pretty. I've got some old growth with some yellowing tips on it. I'm not too worried about that. All I'm concerned about is the new growth, like here. God, that's stunning. I will try to get some really great photos of that for my Instagram. And then next to that, I picked this red maranta up at somewhere that's green in Bend, and it trails. I mean, it's so pretty. I've got a little yellow leaf right here, but other than that, it's loving the bathroom life. Secret tip, they love the humidity. I'm still trying to figure out a perfect watering schedule so that this doesn't happen. And then below that, I have a really rare Calathea that I don't actually know what kind it is. Isn't that just spectacular? I mean, what even? It's the prettiest variegation I have ever seen. I've got some issues with some old leaves there, but yeah, so pretty. And then, can someone please tell me, do you have a Calathea White Fusion that loves you? Because mine hates me. God, I try so hard with this plant. I literally have this water thing here to mist it, little spray bottle, and I miss this plant. I give it regular waterings. It's in the bathroom. Like, some of this growth over here isn't so bad, but that's the way it goes with this plant. It'll be like, oh, thankful, I love you, and then all of a sudden it'll drop all of its leaves and it'll turn yellow and crispy, and I just cannot for the life of me figure it out. But I love the challenge. So it's just funny because I feel like no matter where you look at white fusions, they always are like divas. And I can't understand it for the life of me. That's the bathroom. You know, showering in those jungle vibes. I like it. Now, on to, look at that beautiful living room. I love that plant corner. Now, onto my bedroom. I have a few plants hanging up in here. I've got my Philodendron Brazil, my mama plant that has just totally taken over the pot. I love this plant. It is so easy to take care of. Like I said, it's such an underrated plant. It's such a happy guy. Look at some of this. Oh God, like, look at the size of these leaves. I'm so happy that it likes it here. I love this plant. I've got this beautiful pot that I got from the Portland nursery on clearance because it has a chip up on the side here somewhere. But man, it's loving that area. And then next to that, I have my Snow Queen. And the variegation is super white. Very full up here. And then as it trails off to the side, it doesn't have a whole lot of leaves right there on that side, but that's okay. As we turn, we see the leaves get whiter because they're closer to the light. Overall, very beautiful. Very happy to have that in my life. And then next to that, I don't have anything up here right now because it's just a little dark, but below that I have my Asparagus Fern, and I don't have a ton of ferns, but this is one I really liked. I love the, I don't know, just very like whimsical, dainty. I like it. So this is one of my pride and joys. I love this plant. Let's see if I can pick up some of the variegation on it. Now this, I do have a similar one in the main living room next to the humidifier, but this is my Variegated Morant Ax. So this leaf is like a half moon almost. Look at that, beautiful. Oh, so pretty. This one's so pretty. That one's so pretty. This one's so pretty. All of them are so pretty. Another Monstera adansonii. Don't ask me why I have so many. I just really freaking love this plant. Found this one at Pistols. This is the wide leaf variety. I think actually most of mine are wide leaf. Then I have another Fiddly Fig. Hey baby. What a good girl. So you are going to be so proud of me because this entire pot of Fiddly Figs are grown from a cutting. Well, from multiple cuttings. It's been so much fun to experiment with that. So you can successfully root a Fiddly Fig cutting. It takes a freaking long time, but it's given me so much new growth. Okay, so the newest cutting, as you can see here, this leaf has quite a bit of damage. It's just one single leaf attached to the main stem here, and you can kind of see, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell on camera, but it's giving me a tiny little bit of new growth there. I can see the point. So we can go over how to do that successfully, because I've done it 3 times. And then right next to my Fiddly Fig cuttings, I have a baby Monstera deliciosa. This was the first Monstera I ever bought. And it seems to be pretty happy. It's so funny. It has 1 leaf with fenestrations in it. Just 1. And just this 1 slit. And it hasn't given me a lot of new growth lately, so I moved it to this window to hopefully inspire some new growth. So that's my little planty corner over here. I usually do have a plant hanging on the side of my bed over here. As you can see, there's a little hanger. There's my dream catchers. So usually I have a plant hanging right here, and it's this plant right here, my Philodendron heartleaf green variety. It's just the normal Philodendron, but it needed some light, so I moved it over here because I think it wasn't happy living in like complete darkness, like none of us would be. So my friends, this is my very first video on YouTube, my plant tour, and I'm so excited to have shown you around my home and shown you some of the plants that I love taking care of. I do have a rescue station in my basement under a grow light, so I filter plants through that when they need a little TLC or a little bit boost of light. I do live in Portland, Oregon, so the sunlight at this time of year is practically non-existent, although it looks like it's just streaming through that window. Anyway, it was really great to hang out with you guys today. Thanks so much for sticking through the whole tour if you did, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!